Hi everybody, this is Steve. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review. And in this video we'll be assembling Eaglemoss's Nissan GTR R35. And this is part of issue number 4. This is going to be pack 12. And in pack 12 looks like we'll assemble some more suspension components. So with that, stay tuned. I'll show you guys the parts and we'll assemble this bad boy. Take care. Welcome back. With stage 12 we're going to assemble the rear suspension lower mount. And this shows us all the parts that are included with that, and we'll look at those here in a little bit. And takes us through step by step. We have 6 steps on 2 pages here. And then 2 more steps on the next page. So we've got 8 steps total for stage 12. So with that, I'll be right back with the parts. Here's stage 12 parts in the blister pack, and I'll take these out. We'll get a closer look at everything that's included in stage 12. Here's a close-up of the parts. Now all the parts here are metal except for these 4 items here on the left. I'll start off with the screws. We got some AM screws, we got some BP screws, we got some FM screws and nuts, we got some HM screws, and some HP screws. We have left and right clamp holders, we have left and right U holders, we have left and right U assembly bases, we have left and right clamps, and lastly we have the rear cross member, which is pretty heavy duty. It's all metal. We have to grab our right rear suspension from issue 2, which was fully assembled, and with this we're going to install our right clamp holder. Now I put out both clamp holders here, and if you see the angle there, this is your left clamp holder and this is the right clamp holder. So I'm going to take the left one, push that away. We need to use the right clamp holder on this, and we're going to put it on the shorter bar. There's 2 bars here. You have a long one and a short one. It's going to go on the short one. We're going to use the FM screw and nut for this. We're going to install the FM screw on this. Just got to be a little patient. We're going to insert this into there like that. Put our nut in on the other side. There we go. Put my screwdriver on it here. A little bit fiddly, but got it on there. That is tight, and that's what it looks like. Next we're going to attach our left and right U assemblies onto our cross member, and they are going to be installed on the shorter end here versus the longer end. So we need to turn this over just like that. Do that again. They are keyed. There's a little keyway here, key tab, where it slides in just like that on the tab, and then we'll screw in these AM screws, and these are pretty thick screws. I pre-lubricated the holes. That's that. Next one. Put that in. Screws right down. And there we go. They are installed. Next we install the left clamp holder onto the left rear suspension component, just like we did the right rear. And it's simply going to slide on that. And we're going to take our nut, our screw, our FM screw, feed it through, just like we did before. And we're going to install our nut on there. And tighten it down. And that's all we do with that step. Now we install the U-clamp assemblies onto our anti-sway bar, this very small, thin sprung wire. And we're going to use BP screws. They are very tiny. And what we do is we clamp it on there like that, where it's kind of flush mounted. And then you can see we just put our small BP screws in to hold it together. That's one. That's one. This is eventually going to get mounted to the cross member. And there we go. Just to make things easy, I removed the anti-sway bar from the axle so I can get this mounted on the frame. That lines up like that. We are using HP screws for this. We'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll do it the same thing on the other side. Line it up. This next step was really hard to film, So I went ahead and assembled it, and I'll explain what I did. I had to take and remove the sway bar off the axle, and then it was easier for me to line up these U-joints where they needed to be. These clamp assemblies are held on with HP screws. There's 2 of them there. Once I had them clamped down, then I can install my anti-roll sway bar. Now we attach the left and right suspension parts to the U assemblies. Once again, we're going to be using the FM screws and nuts. It goes just like that. Just like that. We'll put our nut on it. We'll do the same to the other side. We'll make sure this brace is underneath the assembly, just like the other one. And that's going to be easy because it's already there. That's good there. And once again, I use tape again to hold the nut in place while I screw it in. Just a little patience to get it started. And there we go. And it's beginning to look like a suspension, or back suspension. I'll be right back. Next we're going to attach the clamp holders to the cross member, and that's these right here. And you can see they have an alignment tab and access for the hole to screw them in. These are made out of metal. So like I was saying, these are made out of metal. I need to lubricate them before I put a screw in. And they're going to press down on top, just like that, and just like that. We'll turn it over, line up just like that. We are putting the HM screw in. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle here. And that's tight. And that's tight. And those are both in there, just like advertised. And they want us to put a DM screw into the anti-roll bar here, into the axle. I've already pre-lubricated the hole. started. And there we go. Let's recap everything we assembled in stage 12. In stage 12, step 1, we attached the right clamp holder. And that was fairly easy to do. We just attached it to the lower strut bar. In step 2, we attached the left and right U assemblies, and that's this right here. We did that on both sides. Step 3, we attached the left clamp holder on the short rod, and that was pretty easy to do. Step 4, we added the U assembly clamp holders to the bases. We did this on both sides. You can see that's these clamp holders right here and right there. In order to do that, we had to remove this anti-sway bar off the axle. Just made it easier. I took that off. That way I can install those onto the anti-sway bar with no problem. Because the next step is we have to mount those to the frame here, to the cross member. In order to mount it, it just made it easier if you didn't have this sprung wire in your way. So that was done with step 5, where we mounted these. Single screw on the bottom on both sides. In step 6, we attached the left and right suspension parts to the U assemblies, and that's with the long rod, and we screwed those in with a screw and nut on both sides. Step 7, we attached the clamp holders to the rear cross member, and that was on both sides. So they simply took one screw on the bottom side. This one here was attached, and that one there was attached. If I flip it over, you can see a single screw for both of them. And lastly, step 8, we secured the anti-roll bar to the knuckle base, and that was this right here. And I also made sure that I attached it to the other knuckle base on the other side. Right there. And there we have it. We installed a lot of suspension components on here. A lot of it was very hard for me to film. These screws here were hard to show on film. It was hard to show the anti-roll bar being installed like it should be. It just was very hard to film, but it wasn't that hard really to assemble. I think it's important that you disconnect the anti-roll bar on this side before you try to hook it up to the frame. But other than that, it is done. So pack 12 is done. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to it. I put a link in the comments below to Eaglemoss where you can subscribe to it. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like, and hit the bell for all new video notifications. With that, happy modeling everybody. Take care.